of these stolen generations, we say sorry.
My name is Peris. I was born in Darwin on Larrakia country. I'm better known in this country for being the first Aboriginal person to an Olympic gold medal, which I did as part of the hockey roos at the '96 Olympics. I then retired from hockey and went on and to achieve my first childhood love, and that was to run for Australia. And then went on and entered into federal parliament in 2013 as the first Aboriginal woman to enter federal parliament. I'm immensely proud of who I am and where I hail from. It's majestic. When I look back upon my childhood, the first thing that I really think about is freedom. You know, the freedom that I had to run, the freedom that I had to win, the freedom that I had to be able to get an education. They're all the things that my mum never had. You know, she was sent to the Tiwi Islands to the Garden Point mission when she was 8 years old, and she lived there till she was 17. I didn't have much racial discrimination as a kid growing up, probably because, you know, up in the Northern Territory, almost 40% of the population is Aboriginal. And it wasn't until, I guess I started to represent the Northern Territory, entering into national sports where I actually was racially vilified or abused, if you like. I guess as an Aboriginal woman in this country, someone who has a profile, someone who's not scared to speak out, I become a target. The vile racist attacks and the death threats that I had whilst I was in Parliament, they came thick and fast. Racism is alive, and it's well, and until we actually address the systems of governments that have been responsible for racism, we're never going to move forward as a country. We feel the impact of racism, doesn't matter where you are, but when you attack an individual, you attack our entire race, and we feel it as a race of people. I guess the progress that I see for Indigenous women is there are, you know, the opportunities now for women to become members of boards, of corporate boards. I guess there are more role models. There are the women who are lawyers, you know, there are judges, there are people in areas, you know, that wasn't seen 20 or 30 years ago. And I have this saying is you can't be what you can't see. You know, for me, being that first Aboriginal woman in Parliament, we saw in the last federal election, there was something like 25 Aboriginal people across the country that were candidates putting their hand up to say, yes, I want to become a politician. But sadly, where we do fall behind are the things, you know, the incarceration rates, the Aboriginal deaths in custody, but we've had royal commissions. If you want real change, the change needs to happen. You need to enact upon recommendations of the royal commissions. You know, there are more children, Aboriginal children that are at a home care now. I guess for some women, especially Aboriginal women, it's a double-edged sword. You know, if you go to the authorities to say, I'm a victim of domestic violence, the first thing that they're going to do is call child protection if you're a mother. So women are more inclined to put up with it and say nothing and remain in that environment. When people walked across the Sydney Harbour Bridge, it was such a significant time in Australia's history, and when you acknowledge us as Aboriginal people, when you value us, you don't lose your 230 years of history, but you gain 50,000 years of history. I have a proposition for this country for a new Independence Day. So March the 3rd in 1986 was when the Australia Act was enacted. So effectively that was the day that Australia and Great Britain relinquished their ties. So it was effectively an Independence Day. So March the 3rd, it's a great day that we could all come together, the 3rd of the 3rd. It's still in summer, you can still get your barbecues in. And so my hope is that our lives and our cultural responsibility, our inherited responsibility is valued, not questioned, it's valued and respected, because I think that's one way that we can all move together, you know, as all lives matter on this continent.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.